Welcome to Wraparound the World, where we explore the incredible journey of Wraparound from its origins to its global impact. Join us as we delve into personal and community stories, meeting powerful individuals, families, and communities who have been transformed by this powerful approach. Thank you for coming.
Glad to be here.
We had two other just earlier. They went really good. They were just real casual. Maybe we start off. Start with your experience at the conference so far.
Oh man, this is an amazing conference. I think I just was at a conference last week. So everything from the platform, the communication, the energy level. I know you tried to have like a script today. It was very, as you were emceeing, you tried to have like this amazing, thought-provoking script between each piece. The welcome night last night gave a little bit more relational aspect. We got to get to know each other and have fun for those that came. So today's sessions were amazing. Keynote, well, not the keynote, but the opening session for Juneteenth, Jay, and then the presentation on connectivity was important because it then fed into the other aspects of the conference. Like we couldn't help but try to connect as you went through because you were already given the mandate, and you were made feel guilty about your screen time. Right? So as a result, we're like, I can't touch my phone.
Let alone grabbing two phones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So but it was very amazing. I think this is a great conference, and I think the relativity to what I want to do is making this more. So in talking to Kathy, being able to think about how we're going to bring this CARES model to Maryland. That's why I'm here. So it was worth the expense to come and I'm trying to be all in. So I think that the being able to take back a evidence-based, even though it's in beginning stages of evidence-basedness, back to Maryland is going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. And y'all got me for life, so y'all can't shake me.
Okay.
I'm gonna have a blazer next year. Nobody told me. Nobody told me about the blazer.
I got a green tee somewhere, but I don't know, too big. What classes? Shout out the classes you taught.
So I'm doing the ones I took, or the ones I'm taking. So today I did trauma-informed grandparenting. This idea of the grandparent reclaiming the role as the custom, culture, and celebratory piece, right? To reframe culture in households, right? Correcting the trauma they caused. So modern day families could possibly be 5 generations in the same house. But if the parent is in the house of the parent that parented them, and that parent is in the house of the parent that parented them, and then that parent is in the house, then you have 3 different generations influencing the parenting of this new generation, this generation alpha. So you could potentially have boomers, X, millennials, Z, and alpha in the same house.
Wow.
And if you're not careful, then you just repeat the cycle of bad parenting and trauma to the next generation. So the call to action was identifying what you possibly see that was dysfunctional in how you were reared, and then name it, address it, and then decide how you're going to deliberately ensure that it's not passed on, while also creating a new culture of wholeness within your family. What can you do? Right? So reclaiming the family dinner table.
Tell them some of the examples you were going to use that you mentioned to me.
So we just use like different cultural, cause the reality is there are not a lot of positive grandparenting moments. Even though I didn't think about it till later, I should have just used a whole bunch of This Is Us clips, right? Because you have the trauma of one generation, then you have it's 3 generations told in the same storyline.
That's
right? So I used clips from Yellowstone, the Dutton relationship with his grandson. Then I used clips from George Lopez, the mom, and her relationship. Then I used Blackish, the grandma, and her relationship. And then I closed with this family dinner table, which was a staple item in Blue Bloods, right? The Reagan
That's
family
right. Yeah.
family
Yes,
dinner
that's
table,
right. Yeah.
which was one of the recommendations that the group said, establishing new cultures, new customs, a family dinner table uninterrupted by devices. So we come to the dinner table once a week, right? And we make it sacred.
Yeah.
But we make it sacred in a new way. So it's not just eating, but it's sharing, it's empowering,
Right.
it's motivating,
Right.
it's goal setting to break the cycles. But one of the biggest things takeaways I think was that we need to, in that same space, do some sort of forgiving ceremony, right? Where grandparents at the dinner table can
Why
own
you trying to make me cry over here,
what
man?
they did wrong, right? Own it and just say, look, I wasn't good.
Sure.
I mean, you survived it, but I sucked. I want to apologize, right? And I want to, depending on your apology language, I want to either have a plan how it doesn't have to happen again, or I want to make restitution.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't allow you to get the Barbie doll you wanted, but I found it. I know it's late, but here, right? I want to restore this, and then I want to break the cycle. I want to now empower you to be different. You don't have to be like me, right? I sucked as a parent.
Yeah.
And I want you to be different. And so that was the premise of today. Tomorrow I'm doing two. I'm doing one on self-sabotage. Maybe I'm the problem. Stopping the sin or strategies to stop self-sabotage. Because what I found, and I hate saying but I'm not gonna say it anymore. But what I found is we're the problem. Like oftentimes we want to blame outside entities, but part of the reason we repeat the cycles we're in is because we've become attached to them. We have we're enamored with the dysfunction.
Yeah.
Right? We like it.
Yeah. Married.
We're married. We're in covenant with it.
Real
We
talk.
can't function without the dysfunction. And so we publicly punish ourselves and adopt practices that knowingly stop us from being the fullness of who we're supposed to be. And then we participate with agencies and groups that support that behavior, which is one thing we're going to talk about in one video I'm showing is this video by Kevin Gates where he talks about if you're wrong, I'm going to call you on it because I cannot be your friend and allow you to participate in activities that destroy you and then celebrate you and hang out with you like I'm your best buddy when I'm watching you participate in these behaviors that are destroying you. Self-destructive behaviors, right? So I think that part of the agency, so we're looking at this through the lens of the practitioner and the person. So as the person who's deciding that they want to be better, the goal is to surround yourself with people that are not going to feed into your dysfunction. They're not going to excuse it, right? Yeah. They're not going to sweep it under the rug. They're not even going to give you grace because you've already done it 3 times.
Correct.
Right? Grace is 1 time.
Sure.
Correct.
Right? So if you go home driving drunk, at some point I'm going to take your keys. Like I'm not going to allow you to and just be like, text me when you get home. Right? I'm then feeding into your foolishness.
Sure.
Right? I'm not going to let you take somebody home. I'm not going to let you, this we're talking about strengthening families, fathers. Yeah. I'm not going to let you downplay or cancel or renege on a promise you told to your child you're going to take them to the movies because some chick came up, right? I'm not going to let you get out of it.
Right.
I'm going to cause you to be accountable because if I feed into your foolishness, then I am a, what's it called? I am a accessory to the dysfunction. Right? I'm an accessory.
That's true. Sure.
Right? I knowingly allowed you to engage in activity that was going to hurt you.
I was just right there, and then I just had a thought, and I want to know what you think.
Go ahead, run it.
What about if it ain't their journey? If they ain't got to where they need to go before they need to make that personal change?
So
not arguing. I'm
no. I think that's part of it, right? Part of it, we apply false standards. So we're talking about father. I just preached this Sunday, right? We say you got a girl pregnant, you're a man now. That's not true.
I hear what you're saying.
Because pregnancy does not make manhood, it makes fatherhood.
Correct.
You still have to mature into manhood. And oftentimes we force fathers who become, I was a teenage father, my father was a teenage father, right? We force them to assume these adult responsibilities, but the reality is their maturity hasn't lined up with their manhood act.
I see you. Yep.
Right? So part of it is, you're right, they may not be ready. But what we can do, they may not be mature, but we can force them to be fathers, right? I know you may not like this, but you need to show up for your child. Stop making promises to the mom you're going to be with them. That may not be the case. You may not be husband. Fathering a child doesn't make you husband material.
Right.
It does make you a father.
Right.
And you have to own the consequences of the action, right? You have to say,
You can't get out of that.
you can't get out of that,
Right.
right? Because I don't care if you disown it, the blood test is going to say you're father.
That is right. I think that's the part I think is the most important part, right? Because you're feeling like you're not ready, but those consequences are going to come whether you're ready for them or not, right?
Yeah, and it does grow you up, but I don't think it shouldn't be. And society says you should automatically throw away your childish ways, but that's impossible to do.
No.
You're still a child. Like, you didn't plan it.
Sure.
You just participated in an activity that led to it. But what we can do is say, look, I'm not going to beat you over the head, but here's an opportunity to show up, right? Your child needs Pampers. Here's an opportunity to show up.
Right.
Your child's going to school. Your child is sick. You need to be with the mom, right? There's some things you need to be able to do, and we need to be able to assist you. That's the role of the community.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the role of the circle.
Exactly.
The circle should not excuse your behavior because they want you to hang with them when you made the decision to be committed and covenanted in some way to this creation you participated in. So that's the self-sabotage fee. I think
I'm hearing a whole new narrative. I'm hearing the creation and education of a parent-father narrative. Like, no, we like you say all the time, I expect you to be there. You're his father. Like, that's expected. And maybe, but like you said, maybe some of the generational trauma and generational cycles have led to this persona of a father that is not one that is a father.
I think that we have generationally confused provision with presence. I think those are two different things. So,
Sure.
so fathers excuse their presence because they say, I'm out making money to make provision.
Sure.
But provision, I don't care how much money you send the mama,
Right.
it doesn't take the place of you being present.
Correct.
And for me, I think it may have also come without some level of blueprint for what that may look like.
Yeah.
Right?
There is no blueprint.
Right. And if there was a blueprint, it might not have looked like the blueprint that maybe it should have looked like.
Sure.
Which also suggests that we have to remove this idea of monolithic parenting. There's no one way to do it.
Correct.
Right? You have to do what works. Every mother doesn't need you to be there all the time. Some mothers are independent.
Sure.
Correct.
Right? They are, but what they do need is for you to be present for the child. Right? And I think that there is some manipulation in parenting and motherhood because that's what we're taught. Right? And so my third presentation is partnering for peace. This idea of men's role in maternal mental health. Right, the father's role. Because I think that oftentimes there is a stigma that goes, especially with teenage or unwed parenting, that first of all, the fathers are told, she's using you, right? It's a trap. She's trapping you. You got to watch yourself. And there's already this barrier that comes. First question, you've been intimate with a young lady, and she says she's pregnant. First question we say is, whose is it?
Mine? Oh, yeah.
Right? Is it mine? Right? Why are you telling me? We're already on the defensive, even though we were practicing in the unprotected behavior. Right? We knew it was a chance, but we somehow in our mind will do it not thinking it will burn us or not thinking we will get caught or not thinking it would happen, and then we're automatically on the defensive. Then the other outside voices are influencing us to make it a hostile interaction.
Right.
So I hate you already, right, even though in the act of quote unquote lovemaking, we consummated and then created a child.
And I might also go and say that this narrative might also have been formulating for some of the influences that she's coming with.
Oh yeah, I hadn't gotten there yet. But
Okay, right.
So this is just the men's perspective, but the woman's perspective too.
Yeah.
Right, because oftentimes the voices in the ear of the female is, don't let them mistreat you, make sure you get what's yours, put them on child support, right? Automatically. Right. Don't even try to work out an amicable partnership.
Yeah.
Or this false standard of marriage. Now, I'm a pastor, but I do understand that marriage modern day is different than biblical marriage. So anybody say I want to be married in the Bible, that was a union of expansion. In other words, I wanted my tribe to grow, so I put my person with someone from your tribe, and we mixed resources. It was a business, an economic decision. It wasn't based on love. That's a transaction. It was transactional, right? And this idea of love and matrimony is 15th, 16th century. So it's rather nuanced, right? So that expectation, get married, that may not be. Like, I really believe that the purpose of the pregnancy was to birth the child, and then to ensure that both parties come together to ensure that child gets all that they need to become great.
Right.
And we have to remove emotion. In other words, Tracy, I can't be focused on whether you and I are going to be together to raise this child. Right. The child is here. If we broke up, then that may just be the case. Now our focus is, how do we partner to make sure that this child has the best? Which means it's a communal raising.
Right.
But that also means, Tracy, I get your parents on board. Jay, your mama hates me because of what happened, and as a result, she's blocking me from seeing the child unless it's under these certain amazing conditions. But that's hindering the child and damaging the child, and it's setting the child up for failure, because now I have to be a certain way with you and a certain way with dad, right? So in order to be celebrated in Jay's family, I got to bring dirt on dad's family. And
the games.
It's the game. It's games.
It's all
and who suffers? The child.
Well, and everyone.
Everyone suffers, but the child is then permanently learning how to manipulate parents. So
sounds like some good workshops.
I think so. So I wrestle with how they're going to manifest, because depending on the audience, right? Because it requires realness, and every situation is not like that. Like, reality is, there are some perfect parental situations where the children are planned. Like the father says, we've been married 4 years, and I've gotten all my degrees. We have a good job, and
let's make a family.
Buy
the house. Why? Yeah.
Yep. But there are some where I wasn't even planning on having a child. I just saw you at the club. Right. You were fine, and I took you home. Yeah. Right. So I think that weighing the variety of creation narratives is very important. But I think that this is so the reality is that the agency part, right? The practitioner part is, how do you then foster? You said something so me. I put it on Facebook, and I've already quoted it. You said, hold on, let your budget be your moral document.
Yeah, that ain't me. I'm in a part of a group of network.
Well, you didn't quote them, so I quoted you. But the reality is, what are agencies doing to foster what they believe in for communal development? Like, I really believe we can no longer just do father groups, fatherhood initiatives without involving the whole family. We can't just do motherhood initiatives. We can't do my grandparent. We can't just do grits for grandma without then involving, because children need to be raised in community. Because if they're raised in community, what they see is they can no longer manipulate one side because all parties are together.
And may I even invite to a different language?
Go ahead.
Their needs are met.
Their needs are met.
They have to manipulate.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they no longer have to, and I use manipulation only in the sense that I have learned that one side values me more than the other side, or at least I feel that way. So I play to where my provision comes from.
Yeah.
But if they see when it's parent-teacher conference, it's not just mama showing up. It's the family unit.
Gang.
And the family unit is not just one-sided. There are several people I know that can only tell you the family members of mother's side.
Sure.
They don't know their father's side.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Even in my own family narrative, I know my father's mother's side.
Right.
But because my grandfather was abusive to my grandmother, my father separated himself from my father's paternal side. So I never got introduced to them. Right? My mother's father, Cyrenius, died 2 years after her birth. He died in 1948. And I just found out in hanging out with her half-brother in New York that he had a whole nother family in New York that he found after he got in an argument with my grandmother. But I don't know any of that side. Right? So because the family unit has been divided, it is now, you can distinctly separate who's in your corner. But if the community came together at a parent, and so I'm an advocating for agencies to do more communal work.
Yep.
And that's what Wraparound is, and that's what it's about. And when we talk about when we look at and think about people saying in community saying we have less resources, we have less this is how we look at and get and think about putting and utilizing those resources, because we may have a young man who is that a possibility? I'm just asking, is it a possibility that we can? I don't know. Okay, but can we explore that? Is there something we can explore? One, because we may need to for connections, for other things, for safety, for a myriad of reasons. But this is why we want to bring and do and start repair. I don't know.
One of the amazing things that J. Du,
you got it, yeah,
J. Du
like
said in his Frederick Douglass narrative, he gave very great illustrations about the separation and the breaking of families that took place in slavery. So I love the wraparound. In fact, I've been dealing with wraparound since my years in Ohio, Northwest Ohio, with some of the stuff they did in Findlay and some of those areas in the early 2000s. But what you have to realize is wraparound came about as a result of the destruction of the family unit, right? So as a result of the fact that families got separated, they needed to then rely on agencies to fill in the gap. How powerful would it be if agencies wrapped around family complete units, right? And so what I'm loving is I love the wraparound model in all age groups. I love it for reentry. I love it for high school age. I love it for elementary. I love it to really show the child, right? The purpose in my mind, and I'm not an expert, so I'm speaking as a novice.
You're good, man.
But
talking shop.
When you think about a child that stands up and panoramically looks around and everybody is fighting for them, do you understand how empowered a child would be when everybody is coming together to ensure their success? That's what I see y'all doing. I mean, that's what I see Wraparound.
Yeah.
And then, so the deficiency is when the child stands up and it's not their family first, it's the agency first. Because then they're wondering, in my mind, where's mom and them, right? Why aren't they fighting for me? And I'm not taking away from what you're doing, but I think when the community comes back to care about each child, and then the services wrap around, there is nothing a child can't do. There are no holes.
And 100%, that's what we strive and want to do, right? And train and shift it to that complete community response and do. You know, one of my greatest meetings was around something like you're talking about, right? Where there were 40 or 50 members of a church family. They were all there for one child. And you know, the pastor of the church was saying to me, I was like, listen, the first thing I want to say is why would this child want or need to have to choose why can't he have all of you? You are all here. This one, I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before. How amazing is it for this child to walk in and see all of you in this, you know, the passion that you all have about it, like you're saying. I could only imagine what that would feel like. I don't even know if my family's ever done that. Come to one thing for me, you know, because you know, I'm thinking at a play and just looking up and seeing every Papa, Nana, both of them on both sides, right? Cousin, they're all here. It's about you.
Crazy old Aunt Ruthie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing I couldn't feel like I could do.
Yeah.
If I saw that.
Well, there's some things that it hits on that I love we're talking about it. It's not just people. It's not bodies. It's people that care, that show up with a purpose. And, you know, even talking, we're not going to go off on this now, but that's collective intelligence, right? That's neuropsychology stuff. We're talking about the spiritual level, right? And the vibration of people that believe in you. Now we're talking about the brain, neuroscience, right? But then it's also the hands. You know what? I ain't scared of nothing. Why? Because there's 20. Have you seen these 20 people? They got my back. And so now I even maybe believe in me, right?
Yeah.
God, that's good.
Yeah.
And prior to this, the only times those families come together, sadly enough, primarily are courtroom and funeral.
And that's right.
Right? So that's the time you see the community behind you in the courtroom. You see the family crying together in the homegoing service.
Yeah.
But what would it look like? You said it so powerfully. Every celebratory moment, every promotion, every award ceremony, right? Every play, every time even if they just said good morning, like if their only job was to say good morning.
That's it.
Right? And not just, the family, great, but what if we were able, and we haven't gotten to that place, what if we were able to develop support plans for every child? What if there was a model where the school, and they have these little plans, but what if every school had a support plan where they identified? And I know that a lot of agencies come to fill in deficiencies, but what would it look like if without deficiency, we're just committed to every child being their best self?
There's a few mantras we talk about in Wraparound that line up really well. One is not about us without us, and no eject, no reject, which means it don't matter where you go, what happened, we're never giving up on you.
We're never giving up.
And I think it's really about, dreaming about, what would you do instead? Like if you're ready to put this kid in placement or go to a higher level of care, what would you do instead? And then who would it take to make that happen? And then that's our goal. That's what we want to do. And the last thing I was going to say, and then we probably should start to try and find some sort of closeout at some point.
We're going hard for another 3 hours.
That's what I'm saying. Good thing the basketball game ain't on tonight. No, I'm just playing. How you concretize, and I'll say it, let me stop for a second. How you concretize this ideology matters. So there's a lot, as John, I was in the breakout video with John today, and John Vandenberg, and he was talking about how over time Wraparound exploded, and then everybody was doing Wraparound, but as he said, he had some new words I hadn't heard before, Tracy, that I really liked, but Wraparound, or just not the right stuff. But all these communities, they'd heard about it, they went back and they tried to do it, but in the concretization, they were still kind of systematized in their thinking. And so this idea of what does it mean to do authentic community-based wraparound, it's everything you described. But it's important that as we move into doing this community-based work, as we move into partnering with youth and family and natural supports, that we don't give up on it. It's going to continue to push, and it starts with that one family. We identify 4 or 5 natural supports, bring them to the table. I keep 1 or 2 of them in your pocket. Oh, I'm going to take this to that kid. And now we start to build that community as an alternative to higher level of care. And I think that's exactly what we are aiming for in Wraparound Fidelity is, and you won't see it everywhere, right? But because people are always in their building towards this fidelity, that it should be. And the greatest Wraparound Fidelity is not systems, not agencies. It's the community.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're striving for. And there's demonstrations. We can go back and show different demonstrations where you, for example, you don't train the mental health therapist or anything. We're training community mentors that have lived expertise that won't even pass the background to get hired.
Going to the Boys and Girls.
So they have to stay in the community.
Yeah, I think that you said something amazing. The only way for a wraparound to really work on the level that you're speaking is that, first of all, it has to be child-centered in the sense that you can't expect that the model you used for Jay is going to automatically work for Tracy, right? So you really can't come in with even a skeleton, because it's coming in with a skeleton suggests that you're already trying to transpose one program onto another.
Or it's your own agenda.
And it's your own agenda.
It's your own bias.
So you have to come into the room focused on what the child needs, specifically this child. And it could be different in the same house.
Correct.
Because 3 siblings need different things because they're 3 different people.
Versus that year.
And it has to be reevaluated every 6 months possibly.
Let's go.
Based on how they've grown in the process, right? And how they are maturing in their own self.
And are they hitting developmental needs?
Yeah.
Are they hitting physical needs? Are they meeting social needs? It's a lot. But which the most important part though, you said it's the relationship.
It is.
And the community relationship. And it's great that we use services and programs, and we should. But at 2 a.m. they're all closed. Who are they going to call? They're going to call their homie, their mentor, their friend, their uncle, their pastor, their whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as we close, because the timer went off, apparently.
We get that.
I understand it.
Right? Have you back. That's our secret way to have you come back.
But I do believe that the work, I want to first of all acknowledge and celebrate and affirm the work that is currently being done, because you're doing it, right? You're training other people to even think about the possibility of not being overwhelmed by any one person's individual situation. It's overwhelming if you think you have to do it yourself.
That's right.
But you never are in it alone. There's always someone else you can call. And then giving license and permission for other people to think outside of the box about how to care for the person. And then instead of trying to recreate, really resource. Like, I may have this strength, but I know I can't do it all. I'm not trying to be the superhero. I have a friend who can do this.
Or I'm going to go find somebody.
Or I'm going to go find somebody who can do this. And Captain Planet, with our powers combined, we can support this child, but not just this child, because when we set this child up for success, we now can go after the next child. And we make a committed effort to blanket all children with a level of support based on their individual needs.
Let's go. And then we hire them. And then they come back. And then they work with our kids.
Yeah.
Because they've experienced.
You know what I'm saying? And then they become the directors. And we continue to evolve.
Yeah.
A community-based, grassroots, justice-driven wraparound process.
Yeah, it wasn't until the multiverse got introduced that we realized that Superman was not the only superhero, right? The only Superman. And I think that what we have to realize is that we don't have to wear the big S on our chest. And I think part of our problem systemically in all these areas is that someone thinks that that it can't happen without them, when that's not the case. What we should be doing is trying to partner and empower other people and then empower the next generation to grow into our role.
Absolutely.
So that because they've experienced, they know it works. Correct. So now they want to replicate and duplicate it.
That's it, baby. That's it.
Take over, yeah.
But and it takes work.
It does.
And it takes relapse. And it takes hanging in with communities and grace and humbleness. Well, speaking of which, thank you for coming on our show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. I know I want to have you come back. We've talked about engaging fathers. We talked about generations. Gosh, thank you. I mean, we put a whole bunch of other stuff out there, but man,
this is cool.
This has been an honor.
Anything else you wanted to say before we shut down the mic in your last 30 seconds?
I just think that I want to celebrate you. I want to celebrate you both for the work that you're doing. I want you to know it's not in vain, right? I want you to know that gatherings like this should affirm you and should confirm that you are going the right direction, and you should see that the fruit is being birthed of the seeds that you've been planting, and you see it in, Lutheran services. You see it in AMI. You see it in all of these fatherhood initiatives. You see it, and so just know that the work you're doing is not in vain, right? Be not weary in well doing, right? Be steadfast and immovable, right? Knowing that the labor, the work that you're doing is not in vain.
Say it again. Say it again.
Very well said.
I am because you are.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, Tracy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad.
I'm so grateful that you come. And
glad that y'all allowed me to come and rock it with y'all at the end of the day.
We're gonna have. I know you got us wrong. Cut at this point,
Definitely.
Y'all sleepy.
That's what I mean. I know we'll love to have you come back, and I'm excited to hear about what you're taking back and how you want to implement.
I want to bring it to Maryland. In fact, I think that's why I came. Right. You always wonder why you were allowed to connect in spaces. Like when you think about the providentiality of how I saw the announcement, how I applied, how Release walked me through one and then allowed me to submit 2 and then eventually submit 3. Why this place?
Yeah.
And it's because this is fertile ground that I can then transport this soil back to Maryland and it still produce.
Well, and it goes like this, right? Just like a garden. It grows and then eventually catches on fire. Then the soil has to start over again. And so just whatever part of that process you keep on too. We appreciate having you. Thanks for inspiring me. I can't wait I'm hoping to get to one of your workshops. I think on tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to rock out tomorrow.
All right. Okay.
Show up.
I got this cobwebs off today. We're going hard tomorrow.
And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you.